I've been posed questions about myself that I will attempt to answer here the best that I can. So, tell you a little bit about my education, training, and experience. So, all of my training has been done at the University of Wisconsin-Madison with a bachelor's degree culminating in a Ph.D. in rehabilitation psychology. After obtaining my Ph.D. in rehabilitation psychology in 1995, I relocated to Memphis and worked at the University of Memphis for 10 years, started a research center there on disability and employment. And then in 2005, I was recruited to go to the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, where I've been employed now going on 16 years or finishing my 16th year there, where I work as a full professor in the Department of Kinesiology and Community Health. I don't do kinesiology, which is a study of the body and how the body moves. That's not my area. I fall more into the community health side, which deals with chronic health conditions. And my area of expertise there would be how chronic health conditions impact people's ability to work. So that's my training and academic work. That relates to becoming a vocational expert or vocational analyst in the terms of how people's skills and abilities relate to work and the ability to work. And then that also relates to the issues of how health conditions, chronic health conditions impact people's ability to work. Related to my experience in academics and how it relates to my work in the forensic field as well, I've made myself internationally known as looking at the career development and employment of young adults age 18 to 30 with chronic health conditions, primarily cancer, and have worked in that area for the last 15 to 20 years and have over 130 publications and peer-reviewed journals related to the career development of people with disabilities. I have 2 textbooks out there related to career development and 1 related to assessment, and do work internationally around the world. I'm also a chaired professor at a university in Taiwan. So that's part of my educational background and experience, and that lays the groundwork then for me to be a qualified expert in the area of employment, disability, health, earning capacity, those types of issues. So what's my most important credential would be a PhD in rehabilitation psychology from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Having a PhD, in my opinion, trumps any certification that somebody with a master's degree might have. That doctoral level knowledge, just like you all have JDs, or I'm assuming everybody around the table has a JD. Having a PhD kind of is that capstone piece, the terminal degree that really is relevant to doing this type of work. What do I enjoy the most about being a vocational evaluator? I think what I enjoy the most about it is being able to work with people like yourself and the individuals that you represent to help them get information that they need to move a case forward or resolve a matter. I think that is enjoyable. It's also a very much a contrast from my academic life and my academic world. So very rarely in my academic world do I get to do the things and interact with the people the way that I do in a forensic setting. So it's a good change of pace for me from the academic life. So to me, it very much balances my academic life and is things that kind of helps keep me balanced between doing my academic work. And then this is a good outlet to do something related, but very different in terms of how it's done from a structural perspective. What do I enjoy the least about my work as a vocational evaluator? I'm not sure that there's something I don't enjoy about doing it. I really enjoy doing it. I mean, certainly, I guess, actually the process of putting together a report from a structural perspective, not doing the analysis and determining the opinion, but I guess just structurally putting together a report, reviewing reports are probably the least enjoyable part of my work. But again, something that I don't think rises to the level of something that I don't enjoy. It's just probably, I wouldn't put that as high as working on the analytics, analyzing the cases, working with people like yourself are things that I put high on my list. So overall, there's nothing that I don't really enjoy about the job. What advice do I have for persons considering a career as a vocational evaluator? I would suggest get the education that you need, the credential that you need, because to me, that's going to be the crux, the foundation for you to provide an opinion. And I guess in my 25 years of doing this, it's always good to have that terminal degree so that you come across as qualified. And then I also think just getting that experience of working with people like yourself and just getting into cases and working with a variety of attorneys, learning how they think about things. And I think you just got to get out there and get your experiences. You got to jump in. You got to get into depositions. You got to get into trials. You got to learn from, things that maybe you didn't do well in a deposition or things that went well in a deposition. Same thing in trial. So, one thing I've learned about doing this that I think sometimes scares people away from it is that when you go to trial, it's, from my perspective, now you all might have a different perspective of it. When you go to trial, it's game day and you don't really know exactly what's going to happen. You don't really know everything's, you can map this out and say, this is how we think it's all going to go. And within the first 5 minutes, it completely blows up. And I think being able to adjust to that and being able to respond to that in a without being flustered, just as something that comes from experience. So I think getting that experience is really critical. What is my proudest accomplishment? My proudest accomplishment professionally would be getting what an alumni award from my home academic department at the University of Wisconsin-Madison called the George N. Wright Varsity Award, which goes to a distinguished career in the area of rehabilitation psychology. And George Wright is a historic figure in our field, somebody who I was fortunate enough to be able to study under briefly before he retired, and to receive that honor and recognition of what I assume to be still a lot of career ahead of me, to get a distinguished career award that early and from an institution like Wisconsin-Madison means a lot. I'm very proud of that. So this is kind of an interesting question, and I've thought about this in a variety of ways, and I have probably more than 4 people. The question reads, if I could share a meal with 4 individuals, living or dead, who would they be? And I've heard that question asked of a lot of people in a lot of different ways, and I think about how would I answer that, and might answer that differently depending on the group of people that I'm talking to. But in the sense of who I would be, common folks that would go across my list would be, I'll give you a musician to start out with. I think Bruce Springsteen would be somebody who'd just be absolutely fascinating to have a dinner with and talk to him, just listen to him talk about his life and his process. I think would be very enlightening. Somebody who I've done some reading on lately that I think would be a very fascinating person is Teddy Roosevelt. I think Teddy Roosevelt would be a very interesting person to have dinner with, just from the time frame that he was around and the issues that he was facing at the turn of the century, and his leadership and evolution would be somebody who I would think would be very fascinating. Going to another musician, Jason Isbell. He actually has spent some time in Memphis and is from North Alabama area. It's another musician that I would love to have dinner with, just kind of the same issues with Bruce Springsteen. And then I think probably one of my all-time favorite people that I've read a lot about and done a lot of analysis of his life and his evolution as a person would be Bobby Kennedy. I think Bobby Kennedy would be a very interesting person to have dinner with, just from how he evolved as a person and his experiences, and just to hear him talk about that. So that would be my 4 individuals that I would have dinner with. There are more. There are more people, but that would be a good list of 4. Last question: if somebody wants to engage me as an expert witness, who should they contact, or how would they contact me? And they can certainly contact me via email at drstrauser, Strauser me.com, or they can call my office at 901-907-9985. Those would be the best ways to get a hold of me if somebody wanted to engage my services. I don't do a lot of advertising. I don't do a lot of those types of things. I've found word of mouth to be very effective, but I certainly try to make myself available in events like this or other CLE type opportunities, and do different kinds of marketing at a more baseline level. But contacting me versus the email or phone would be something that would be.
David, we lost you about 30 seconds ago. So if you can hear me, hey, you're back.
Okay, yeah, got kicked out with one question left. I guess I timed out. And that question is, do I have a website? And the answer to that is no, I do not have a website. You can find me at the University of Illinois website if you want, as a way to get a hold of me. I do have a LinkedIn page as well, but website would be also contact me through the university as well, if you need to. But I don't have a personal VCS website. No.